Hello, my name is Gail Gibson Sheffield. I am the Vice President for Academic Affairs here at Landmark College, and I want to thank you for joining us in this online environment to get to know a little of our college. Of course, the best way is to come visit us on campus, but until you're able to do so, this is my opportunity to tell you about our academic programs and mostly what it is that makes Landmark College special. I'm going to start with a quote from a book that a few of my colleagues wrote last summer, and it talks about the barrier to accessing education is not intrinsic to the student, but is created by a mismatch between the student and the educational environment. And what that means is for most educational environments, they have been designed for the instructor, or they've been designed for a mass communication about trying to help people get on board with their way of learning. At Landmark College, we break that rule. We actually design our educational program to meet the needs of the students as they are, to play to their strengths, and to help them work on what it is that challenges them. We design education for the student. That seems like it would be a no-brainer, but really this is a different kind of design. We use research about teaching and learning and about neurodivergent students. We know how students function. We know the challenges that they face with executive function or social pragmatics or a myriad of other learning differences. And we craft our instructional model to be able to meet those students' needs. We value the whole student. And we work with the student to be a partner in that educational design. Our primary goal is to help students develop their metacognition so that they understand how their brains work, so they can self-advocate for what they deserve to have in both an educational environment and in a workplace. And we do so without lowering the bar on academic rigor. That's the important part. All the students who come to Landmark College are capable of college-level work, but they need to have an opportunity to think differently about their education and to think differently about themselves in that educational environment. We do that through a whole team support. You know, a lot of schools talk about that great connection between the faculty member and the student, and at Landmark College, you get that too. That faculty member is a subject matter expert who knows what they're talking about when it comes to whatever that discipline area is. But on top of that great connection between the faculty member and the student, we also give you a whole myriad of support resources, both on an academic side and on a student support side, that helps a student find that connection. And we communicate really well with each other. It's sort of why we've been able during this time to be able to move from a face-to-face environment to an online environment, because we know our students and we're used to communicating with them one-on-one. And that's really what makes it special. A student might make a connection with their academic support provider who can really help liaise between the faculty member and the student to make sure that they have an educational program that makes sense for them. Facilitating all of that is the advisor. Our advisors work directly one-on-one with our students and help them find out what works in some scenarios and what doesn't work in others in order to be able to apply what works in those other areas to the place that they're finding challenge. They help facilitate the communication, and moreover, they help the student to be able to self-advocate and have that communication for themselves. They work collaboratively with the residential dean, who is that person on the social side who knows all of your students, knows exactly what they're like in the early morning and what they might be like late at night, and knows all of the other kinds of challenges that they're facing. And together, they work to be able to develop a whole student plan to help your students succeed. You know, Landmark's teaching approach is different. Our instructional design builds in extra time from the beginning. Lots of schools pretty much have a 50-minute contact hour, for example, for a face-to-face class. At Landmark, the extended time is built in, so students spend longer with their faculty members in class. That can morph into student support just in time, just at that point of the class meeting. It also means that faculty provide even more office hours for students to have one-on-one support. They also provide supplemental academic support, both online and face-to-face in our Drake Academic Center, and through a lot of other academic supports for individual disciplines. This support is provided by the faculty. It isn't outsourced. It isn't just completely peer-to-peer. It's faculty members who are taking their extra time outside of teaching to work directly with students to supplement their instruction. And regardless of the discipline, regardless of what a student is learning, all the faculty share some common values. They all reinforce metacognition, that idea that a student can understand why it is that they learn the way they do and apply new strategies that make sense for them. They all do very explicit skills instruction. So whether it's note-taking or other kinds of time management skills, all of these are introduced in first-year courses, but then reinforced throughout the curriculum, all the way through the senior year. We provide asynchronous material online so students can approach the material when it makes sense for them and supplement that with face-to-face instruction as well. So we're very adept at being multimodal, providing the kind of experience that a student requires to be able to achieve their outcomes. But throughout, what we encourage is that student to find their voice, to find their path, and to be able to go beyond their learning difference to actually creating a vision for themselves for the future. It starts with trying to instill this idea of self-determination and advocacy, and it comes directly from that relationship that a student forms with their first-year advisor. All students, whether they've transferred here or whether they're in their very first semester, they all get assigned an advisor who will work with them weekly to understand what their goals are for the week, to figure out what the challenges are, to help them develop a time management plan, and to follow through on those goals with scripts to help them talk with faculty, all of those tools that they need to be able to break down the walls to their academic success. As they become more confident, as the students become more confident, then we start taking away some of those scaffolds. We find that by the second year, students may need less time with their advisor. They decide for us. They say, you know what, I think I've got this. Why don't we go to every other week, or might be maybe just once a month, depending on where their needs are. If they start to wobble a little bit, then we put those scaffolds back to make sure that the students have what they need and that they are connected to stay on track to their success. Once a student completes at the associate level, then they transition over to a more traditional kind of advising model that directly relates to the discipline faculty. So if you're an art student, for example, or a computer science student, and you're in the baccalaureate programs for studio art or computer science, by the time you're a junior, you're now working with one of your faculty members to be a mentor in your career development. This scaffolding follows the entire years of a student's experience here, and it helps them to be able to customize what makes sense for them. Throughout all of those experiences, students have access to executive function coaches. These coaches are able to work with students on specific areas of concern. So if a student's having a hard time getting out of class, for example, getting out of bed, for example, to go to class, then a coach might help work with them to develop some strategies to be able to stay on top of that and move forward. They deal with individual issues that the student identifies for themselves and helps them develop strategies that make sense for them. So this entire support model is available to all students as part of the Landmark College experience. So how does a student first come into Landmark College? Remember, all of our students are degree-seeking students, are academically capable students. So we know they can be successful in college, even if their high school transcripts show otherwise. So when we bring a student in, the first thing that happens is we put them through a placement process, which is really just an evaluation of all of their files to date, any of the material that you may have provided in your application packet that tells us what level a student might actually be at. Most of the students who come in are ready to start engaging in credit-bearing college courses from day one. And so most of those students go directly into taking credit-bearing classes. Some students, though, might need a little extra support in their reading or their writing, or maybe accessing technology or math. These students go into what's called our STEP program. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. But this program is essentially, all it means is that they're taking classes just like their counterparts in credit, but their classes aren't being offered for credit. Only a couple of the classes may be a credit-bearing class, like an intro to communication, for example. But while they're taking those for-credit classes, their non-credit classes are helping them strengthen their writing skills, their time management skills, and helping them to become acclimated to a college environment and college expectations. The third category is our language intensive curriculum. And this is predominantly for students who have significantly delayed reading skills. This is a program that's full all in on courses that are designed around the Wilson reading system and using assistive technologies. These students are, once the students get to a certain level of their reading and writing, then they will move into either credit or STEP programs, depending on their skill level overall. So let me back up a little bit and talk about what the percentages are of students that come in here. As I said, the majority of the students who get placed into credit-bearing programs. But we do have about 30% of our students who either need some extra help that's offered either through the STEP program or through the LIC program. These students are a little bit on the bubble. These are students that may or may not be successful in college. We're taking a chance. We think that they probably could be, but a lot of it comes down to the individual student's motivation and their desire to engage with the material. So these programs give us a chance to give them a chance at becoming successful in college. The Strategic Transition Entry Point, or better known as the STEP program, is a 2-semester program. Some students might actually test out of it after their first semester. In the first semester, they're taking a practical writing course and reading and study skills that are offered for not credit. They're also taking Intro to Communication, which is offered for credit, and Personal Finance, which is a math-related course. If they actually haven't reached a certain level of math, they might also be in a developmental math course. The STEP program also includes a lot of work with career exploration and other sort of instructional technology support systems. The career exploration is to help students determine whether or not college is really the right choice for them, helps them get engaged with why they're coming to college, which really can make a big difference in the student's ability to stick with it when it gets tough. Most students will have their competency test on their reading and writing during that first semester and be able to move into the credit program in the second semester. But there are a few students, maybe about 20% of those that go into the STEP program, that need an extra semester to figure out if this is right for them. The second semester is also a ready-to-work path, because at this point, if a student isn't fully engaged or isn't being successful in some of these reading and writing study skills courses, we start working with them about a different path so they can transition to something successful that may or may not be college. But they still have a chance to get into the credit program in the second semester. Oftentimes in the first semester, it could be that they just lack the motivation to stick with the curriculum. When they move into the second semester of STEP, they may find that motivation and we may see them turn around. If not, then we're going to say, let's help you get into a career, and then their experience with Landmark College would be concluded at that point. If they are successful, then they'll move directly into the credit-bearing course. As I said, majority of students start right off in credit-bearing. In fact, about 40% of the students that enroll at Landmark College actually transfer here from other colleges. They're most likely going to go directly into credit because they've already been able to do that at other places. But we find that what they're coming here for is what we call bridge. They may be coming to just strengthen some of their academic skills, their credit-bearing skills, and be able to figure out how they can be more successful at their home institution. Students who come for Bridge will be enrolled in the Perspectives in Learning class that all students take. This is a course that helps focus on students' understanding of who they are as a neurodivergent individual, how their brains work, how other people's brains work, and what legal rights that they have as someone with different kind of classifications. We also work a lot on how to make the most out of those differences to be successful in college. Students also take a writing course, that's foundation freshman writing, composition and rhetoric, and then they can take any other kinds of courses in line with their interests. Many students will come for Bridge and take 1 or 2 semesters to strengthen and then transfer back to their home institutions. But oftentimes, students found that they like it here. They found their tribe. They like working with faculty who get them without having to explain it. So that's how we actually started offering associate degrees, because students wanted to come and complete a credential before moving on for their bachelor's degree somewhere else. Landmark College offers a variety of associate degrees that are a good stepping stone to baccalaureate programs that we also offer. We also offer degrees that sort of end at the associate level, because while a student may be strong enough to be a college student, it doesn't necessarily mean that a bachelor's degree is the right choice for them. So we offer associate's degrees in business studies, computer science, life science, and liberal studies with lots of options to supplement those courses with the kinds of interests that students might want to take with them to another college to get their bachelor's degree. That's pretty much what we were as a college all the way up until about 2012. And that's when we started offering bachelor's degrees, primarily because students loved Landmark so much they didn't want to leave. They wanted to be able to complete their bachelor program with us. And so that's what we did. In 2016, we graduated our first baccalaureate class with an interdisciplinary studies in liberal arts. And today we offer a variety of bachelor's degrees, with interdisciplinary studies being the flagship program, but also in studio art. We have some amazing artists here in Putney, Vermont that students really find their creativity. Communication and entrepreneurial studies really takes a different approach at media and at small business management. Computer science, psychology, and that psychology program emphasizes neurodivergent individuals, how the brain works connected with learning. A lot of students find that path because they spend so much time learning about themselves that they're interested in being able to help others. And psychology is a great path for that. And beginning this fall, we're very happy to announce that we will be offering a Bachelor of Science in Life Science, which builds on our associate's degree program already offered. It has tracks in environmental science and in life science. So that's starting this fall, and it's a very exciting time for us. As a fully fledged baccalaureate program now, we have a number of the same kinds of things that you find at other colleges. We're particularly proud of our study abroad program because our study abroad experiences are led by our faculty and with our support people. You know, the number one diagnosis you find at Landmark College is anxiety. And you take a group of students with anxiety and you bring them to Botswana to tag lions. It takes a special group of people to do that, but that's what we do. Our students are traveling all over the world. At least they were before this semester. They'll be doing it again. Our students this summer were supposed to be going to the Netherlands and Germany and New Zealand and off to Alaska. And these are working on courses with faculty, oftentimes doing research with faculty in these locations and having a full 3-credit experience that is really enriching. We're very proud of that work. Here's our lion that happens in Botswana with one of our faculty members who does work for National Geographic. Our students work with faculty on that research, and it's an exciting time. We're looking forward to bringing it back next year. And then we also have a very strong career connections program that we call Landmark Works. This is a developmental program also. It finds out that, you know, many of our students may not have a lot of work experience. Some of our students are uncomfortable knowing what that work environment can be like. So we start with students in what's called our employee readiness experience, working with them with a course that has them working and also studying what it's like to work and figuring out what those social dynamics are. We also offer a number of internship experiences, both on campus and off, to students to help develop those skills. And finally, we have a number of partnerships with organizations like Hasbro and Vermont Genetics Network and a number of others that are special internship positions just for our students. These are competitive positions that allow our students to become fully immersed in that environment, actually doing work. And we've actually placed a number of students into jobs as related to those internships, which is really amazing for such a fledgling new program. We know that our mission now is more than just helping students be ready for the classroom. Our mission is to make sure that students are ready for their lives, and Career Connections is how we do that. Career Connections is also where you go to help transfer. So if you're a bridge student, they're going to help you put together the best portfolio that you can to be able to transfer into the college of your choice after you complete your experience with Landmark College. So how successful are we at all of this? We'd say pretty successful. You know, when you're talking about all of these different approaches that students take to college, I think you'll find that it's very hard for us to just say, well, here's our retention rate or here's our completion rate, because the individual student decides for themselves what success is. If their idea of success is to transfer to another school, then that's a win for us too. So based on what students say to us that they are trying to accomplish, we are confident in saying that 83% of our students will successfully achieve their goals. That's a pretty high number. Students are transferring with their associate's degrees all over the countries to colleges, both at Ivy level and at more state level. They go where they want to go, unlimited by any of the disabilities that might have stopped them in the past. And when students get there, on average, it takes about 2 to 3 years for a student to complete their baccalaureate degree. What that tells us is that their credits are transferring and that they're able to stay on track with their neurotypical peers at other colleges. That's a big win for us. But our bachelor's students are the ones we're tracking more now, because that's a complete program, and that's what we're looking at, how successfully they're making it into the world of work. Well, since 2016, we've only graduated 79 baccalaureate students, but I can tell you that 88% of them are doing what they wanted to be doing outside of college. And when you compare that to the national average of students between 25 and 34, who have a bachelor's degree or higher, 86% of them are actually in an employment situation. And with our students, 73% within that time frame are in an employment situation. That's a pretty high percentage, especially when you look at the statistics around neurodivergent employees in the marketplace. We think we're off to a good start, and we know that we're the right place for your student. So that's Landmark College academic programs in a kind of a whirlwind. We'd be happy to talk more with you about them or answer any questions that you have. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you face to face real soon.